Ready? Hold on.
Emunah has a very interesting characteristic. The characteristic that Emunah has is that there's no such thing ever in your life as getting to the end of where now you are a Maimon. The more you work on Emunah, and the more a person works on himself, the more a person is oived, this avodah of Emunah, the more you do it, the bigger person you are. And the Nesivos Shalom says something which on my own would be a little bit tough to say. The Nesivos Shalom says that what makes one person a bigger tzaddik than the next, what makes one person, you say this person is a big tzaddik, this person is a bigger tzaddik, and he says something very interesting. He says what makes one person a bigger tzaddik than the next is not how much you learn and how much you medaktik mitzvahs. If you learn a lot, then you can be a scholar. And you can be medaktik the mitzvahs, you can be a bigger medaktik. But what makes one person a bigger tzaddik than the next is his level of clarity and emunah. That's what makes one person a bigger tzaddik than the other. Therefore, the mitzvahs, Yitzias Mitzrayim, we said, is so important. What is that? That it has no shiur. The mitzvah of Yitzias Mitzrayim, because we just said emunah, there's no such thing as a shiur in emunah, and Yitzias Mitzrayim is kulei emunah. That's what we're trying to build. That's what we're trying to teach our children. We're trying to teach them how to go about emunah. There's always more. So therefore, we end off that piece of the Haggadah and we say, "Va'afilu kulanu chachamim." Even if we were all big tzaddikim, we were big chachamim, we were big nevoinim, even if we were all so big, mitzvah aleinu l'sapeh b'tzias Mitzrayim. Because I would think that I'm such a big tzaddik, right? A person thinks he's such a chacham, such a nevoin, he doesn't have to do it anymore. Va'afilu kulanu chachamim. That's why we have to say that. Still, mitzvah aleinu l'sapeh b'tzias Mitzrayim. Whatever level of emunah you're on, you could still get to a higher level. There's still a reason to work. You need to have absolute clarity in emunah, and that absolute clarity is a comprehension even more than chachamim and nevoinim. And now that we've given this whole, I don't want to call it Hakdama, it's most of the shiur, but now that we said this whole thing, there's something we can understand in the Haggadah. The Nesivos Shalom says on the Halach Ma'anya that we begin the Haggadah with a beautiful, beautiful explanation based on this lesson of emunah. First of all, look at Halach Ma'anya. We begin the Haggadah with it, right? And you see there's a few different verses in Halach Ma'anya. Be'emes, what's the kesher between one verse and the other? We begin Halach Ma'anya, the Acholu Avasan Be'arad Mitzrayim, then right away we go on to Kol Dichvan Yesef V'Yechol, then we say Hashat Hacha, Hashat Adu. What does one verse have to do with the other? L'chaira, it's a few different things in the same paragraph. Also, what does it have to do with Sipa Yitzias Mitzrayim? The night of Pesach, Be'emes, is about Sipa Yitzias Mitzrayim, and we begin Halach Ma'anya. What does that have to do with Sipa Yitzias Mitzrayim? Another thing, another question, what does it mean, the Acholu Halach Ma'anya, we're talking about the matzah, the Acholu Avasanu Ba'arad Mitzrayim. What do you mean this is the matzah we ate? The matzah we know, it's brought down in the Torah. The matzah teaches us about Geulas Mitzrayim, when we left Mitzrayim. So what do you mean, Halach Ma'anya, the Acholu Avasanu Ba'arad Mitzrayim? That's not the point. The point of the matzah is to show us how we left Mitzrayim. And now that we're out of Mitzrayim, the matzah does not come to teach us about the shibud or the golus in Mitzrayim. In matzah, we know they had no time on the way out to bake the matzah. Also, we sit down by the Seder, we get the Halach Ma'anya, and we say, Kol dichvin yeseh v'yechol. Anybody who's hungry, anyone who needs a meal, right? Yeseh v'yechol, let them come and eat. Let me ask you a question. When do you say that? And this is a Veltz Kasha. You say, Kol dichvin yeseh v'yechol, when you're very comfortable, you're sitting down by your Seder already. If you ask me when you should say, Kol dichvin yeseh v'yechol, you should say it in shul. Before you go home. You make a clap, you give a clap on your table, you say, anybody who needs a meal, come eat a meal, come to me. Kol dichvan yeseh v'yechol, when you're sitting, that's not the way, really, to invite guests, right? The end of the thing is Lashon Haba Ba'arad Yisrael. Why do we end off this first paragraph of the Haggadah by saying Lashon Haba Ba'arad Yisrael? So with what we said from the Nesivos Shalom at the beginning, that the entire Haggadah is about emunah, we can reconcile all of these questions that we have on Halach Ma'anya. We begin the Haggadah with Holach Ma'anya to tell everyone that's sitting here that tonight, Holach Ma'anya, tonight is about one thing. It's about Emunah Pshuta, like a matzah. Pashut, nothing added. No frills, no anything. It's about Emunah Pshuta. We're coming to say that the Geula that we had was for one reason and one reason only. It was because we had the Emunah Pshuta in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No chakiras, no questions, no anything. Emunah Pshuta. That's the first thing we say. Holach Ma'anya. That's why we begin with Holach Ma'anya. Then we say Kol Dichven Yesev Yecho. We're saying anybody who's hungry, come and eat. Zakt in Nesivos Shalom, a beautiful thing. We know Loirav lalechem v'loitzama lamayim. Someone who's hungry doesn't always refer to somebody who needs nourishment in food, but somebody who needs to eat. Kol dichven yesev yechel zakt in Nesivos Shalom loirav lalechem v'loitzama lamayim. What is it for? Ki im l'shmoyas divrei Hashem. That's what we're hungry for. We're telling people, not otherwise, l'chayra, you should do it in shul. Of course you should do it in shul, because you don't invite people to your meal when you're sitting there already. But once the people are sitting here, we're saying anybody who's here that's hungry, kol dichven yesev yechel, come work on your emunah. Come work on your emunah pshuta here tonight that we're going to do in this seder now. The next question we asked is we said, kol ditzrich yesev yifsach. Anybody who needs, right? Yesev yifsach, come and join us in the Pesach. Kol ditzrich yesev yifsach, Dr. Nesivos Shalom, it's the same thing. That anybody who has this question in emunah, anybody who wants to work on your emunah, when is the time to do it? Yesev yifsach. You want to work on emunah? Yes, you're hungry, you can do it. But we're also telling you that Pesach, yesev yifsach, it's the most opportune time to come and work on your emunah. You see how the emunah theme goes right through the whole thing. And then he ends off, of course, we said, Hashata Hocha. This year, unfortunately, we're sitting here in Golus, L'shon haba be'aradi Yisrael. What does that mean? It's coming to tell us that just like now, when we're in Golus, and we have to work on our emunah because every day is so difficult in Golus, and we have to work on ourselves to tell us, emunah, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one, and He will take us out of this Golus. And things are going to get better, and things are we're going to end up going back to Eretz Yisrael. But we're saying Hoshata Hocha L'shon haba be'ardi Yisrael. Even though now this year when we have so many tzaras and we're on Golus, we're working on Amunah, L'shon haba be'ardi Yisrael. Next year in Mirz Hashem, when we're going to have our Pesach and Eretz Yisrael, we're still going to work on Emunah. Because Emunah is the ikr of every single yid. And then Hashata Avdei, L'shon haba b'nei chayrin is the same thing. Now when you're an Eved, of course you look to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, I'm so lost, I have no eitzah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm an Eved, you're going to get me out. So we say, L'shon haba b'nei chayrin, once HaKadosh Baruch Hu Taka comes through for us, and we're not Avadim anymore next year, L'shon haba b'nei chayrin, we're still going to work on Emunah. Let's take a hope that this end that we just said, Hashata Hacha, this year we're here. And of course we're going to work on our Emunah this year. We're not going to allow the Seder, or here in Golus, those that are watching, unfortunately, in Chutz La'aretz, where we're going to have two Sedarim, but we can't, it's very easy, just like one Seder could slip by, two Sedarim could slip by. Same thing, right? If sometimes you could go by first Seder in Yeshiva, and second Seder goes by also. You have to learn, you have to concentrate, you have to work on both of them. A person has to know that the Seder night, like we said last week, Seder night is like Yom Kippur, Seder night is holy like Yom Kippur, Seder night is Rosh Hashanah for Emunah. We're going to work on it, and let's hope that we reach this point, this thing that we say at the beginning of the Haggadah, Hashata Hacha, but L'shon haba ba'aradi Yisrael.
Oh yeah.